Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, three American romance novelists discussing all things K-romance from a writer's lens. We fangirl over our favorite actors and actresses, talk up our trope addictions, and nerd out on K-drama deep dives. We'll throw in a few K-pop and K-skincare recs for good measure, because why not ride the Hallyu wave all the way to shore? So grab some tteokbokki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Hi there.
So we're all still here, still together.
I mean, I feel like we're in the year that never ends. Like it's Groundhog Day 2020. And I just don't know when it stops. And I think that's very apropos of the drama that we're doing today, that I feel like we are just so stuck. I'm coming off of a weekend of having to quarantine because we had a COVID positive in our house. Everybody's fine here. And the child that was COVID positive is fine and always was fine. And we only knew that they were positive because, we do volunteer weekly testing, but it's just, I feel like the anticipation of it now is giving me more anxiety than what'll happen if and when I finally get it. So it's just, I don't know. I feel more anxious about this now than I did when it first started. And I think it's very apropos of the drama that we're talking about today, that I'm kind of in this sort of funk, which thank goodness for K-dramas to get me out of it.
Right. And I feel like in my world, it was like, so you're feeling funky about COVID. So let's just have a tsunami.
Right? Oh my gosh. Seriously.
So Saturday morning we woke up and I woke up at 6 to do some writing. And checked the news and, saw that there was this volcanic eruption in Tonga, and quickly connected the dots that my husband's on the equator on an atoll with 24 people that is at sea level. And so I knew that basically I was getting the news like a bit late, like they were like, the tsunami's almost at California, like basically like in an hour, the tsunami shall be on the coast of California. So I was kind of like, oh, well, it's a little funky that I haven't heard from him. And so I reached out because we can text each other, and, my text went unread for a while. So I just went about the morning just being like, well, taking my son to mountain biking and my daughter to ballet and checking my phone every 10 seconds and just kept being like, hello, because it was very futile because I knew no one was going to answer. But my panic began to have a slow escalation. But long story short, just because I don't want to bury the lead, everything was fine. It ended up being just a very unfortunate coincidence that their comms was knocked out, not related to the tsunami.
Oh, it wasn't related to the tsunami.
No, they're.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's a remote, tiny atoll that has, issues sometimes. And so, they were totally fine. They had no impact because I guess geologically, I can't really speak to it, but my husband was explaining basically where this island is located. Some of the topography of the ocean off the shelf near the island makes it so that the historical record doesn't seem to have a lot of tsunami impact. So that's good. So we actually had much more of an impact in Santa Cruz than he did. And our impact was nobody was harmed, but there was quite a bit of infrastructure damage and cars went underwater and stuff like that.
You sent us some links to some video of what was happening inland, didn't you? Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was bigger than what I saw because we were here for Fukushima, and that had a tsunami, not a very big one, but it caused damage in the harbor with boats coming off their moorings and just damaging each other. And this time the harbor obviously flooded again, but it was a much bigger flood this time that cars were up to their windshields of water.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so par for the course for the drama we're talking about tonight.
Right? Seriously.
But before we dive into that, let's have a little happiness. And Megan's got something real exciting happening. And so we're excited for her to have something to look forward to.
I'm going to be in a crowd of ATEENY, which is the fan name for ATEEZ, the K-pop group. And I'm very excited. So my daughter and I are going. Leah, my only concern is it's going to be cold as balls. And it's in New Jersey winter. It's going to be 28 degrees. So Leah was bring hand warmers, which I hadn't even thought about that. So, and we have a whole bag of them in our garage because my husband bought them for my son's soccer tournaments and stuff. So I have a crap ton of those disposable hand warmers now packed. And I'm going to bring a lot of granola bars to make sure that I'm fed and my daughter and we'll be good to go. So I'll definitely be updating everyone about the concert, just like we did with Leah's BTS experience.
Yeah, we're excited to hear about it. And I want to see some light stick selfies.
Yeah, I'll be taking selfies. Don't you worry. I really can't wait. The Chicago, like, I don't want to like spoil myself. I'm going with a friend of mine and she said the same thing. She was like, I'm trying to avoid the videos. I don't want to spoil myself, but it's hard because, you know, obviously a lot of my social media algorithms are like directing me straight to AT's content and it just looks really positive.
Can we circle back a second to all the granola bars that you're bringing? Is there no food in New Jersey?
No, it's just, I'm like paranoid. Like, you don't understand. I'm like,
what do you think
paranoid.
Are you going to get stranded?
I think you're prepared,
you don't understand.
Megan.
I am always paranoid that I'm going to be left without food. I don't know how it's like a complete wait.
So Megan, actually, I applaud this. I applaud this because I have seen later in the script where Amy talks about what her personal bunker stash would look like. And I have nothing but shame for Amy. And so Megan, props to you for being prepared.
Well, okay. So here's the deal. So I said to tell a quick story. So when I was in college, well, I've always had I have low blood sugar issues. So I do have to eat very frequently or I get really shaky and ill and things like that. But that's it. I mean, this isn't like a lot of people with low blood sugar issues. Okay. It's not like I'm like super unique, but my mom would always be like, I I have like a complex. Do you know what I mean? Like my mom would always be like, do you have your crackers? Okay. So when we were in college, when we went on spring break, okay, so we flew down to Florida, then we took this like cruise ship to Bahamas. It sounds fancy, but it's not. We were on like college budget and everything was very low class. But anyway, they said that no food was allowed on the cruise. And I was like, oh, but like I always had these peanut butter, like I was like a mom even in college. I always had these peanut butter crackers with me. And I was like, but what I need to, my mom was like freaking out. She was like, you can't have food? What are you going to do? You need your peanut butter crackers. And I remember my best friend was like, what are you going to tell the crews that you have like a prescription for peanut butter crackers? And I was like, I'll be okay. So anyway, it's that's like my thing.
Like food wagons. I've never been on like a big like Caribbean cruise, but I felt like they just like feed you all the time.
All the time.
No, well,
all the time.
This was not a fancy Caribbean cruise. Okay. This was like a small ship that I had motion sickness the whole time. It was a tugboat. It was like kind of a cruise, but it was like a small cruise ship. And I think it only went from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, which is only like a couple hours or something like that. It's like a really short trip. Okay?
That sounds like a great cruise. You took a cruise for a couple of hours.
It was
That's not a cruise. That's a boat ride.
It wasn't a cruise. I know. But it was technically a cruise.
Your cruise was like a 2-hour boat ride. Oh my God, my stomach hurts.
She can't go 2 hours without peanut butter crackers.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And Leah's shaming me for wanting Twizzlers in my bunker.
I know. I had. I'll send you pictures. I swear it was like a cruise ship, but it was like.
How long were you on the cruise ship before?
I don't remember. I was like drinking.
Oh my God. Did you
sleep on Megan? A cruise is a vacation on a boat. I don't know.
Oh my God. I'm going to go into labor. I don't even have a child in me. Oh my God.
That was like part of the trip package was like this exciting cruise.
What was the actual trip? You were just in Florida and you took a boat ride?
No, it was to the Bahamas.
Okay.
We went to the Bahamas. So we flew down to Florida and then from Fort Lauderdale, we went to, we took
So you traveled from Fort
Bahamas.
Lauderdale to the Bahamas on a boat.
On a boat.
That's not a cruise.
They called it a cruise. It's like better. There was like performances on the cruise. It was like it was
better than the hotel that BTS almost stayed at.
I mean, look, this was really low budget. It was like strictly for college spring break kids. So like the whole cruise ship was like full like spring breakers.
Was it just dropping you off in the Bahamas?
Yeah, but this is yes, and then
So it's like a plane ride, but on water.
I'm going to die right now. I can't. I don't have the ability to withstand Megan's
well, this is the
cruise.
thing too. It dropped us off at this hotel, and so the whole point of this like package was that you got like free alcohol because again, it's the spring break, whatever.
Yeah.
And I still remember we showed up to like the hotel. And there was like a huge line to check in. So we were like, oh, well, we'll just go around to the back and like look at the beach. Okay. So we go around and there's these like massive barrels of liquid. And we're like, what is in these things? So we like lean over and it's like, it's rum punch, just a massive barrel of lukewarm rum punch all over the beach. And we're walking down this path and some guy just comes stumbling in front of us, throws up all over the walk. And then just keeps it moving.
I wish I was on this cruise.
This was my first. Oh,
Did you have your
spring
peanut
break
butter
is-
crackers at least?
yeah, but I think I smuggled them on. I think, yeah,
The reason
I
that they
think-
probably didn't want you to bring them was a quarantine issue
probably.
because they probably didn't want you to bring the zombie fucking apocalypse to the Bermudas and your peanut butter crackers because you were traveling. Oh my God, I can't.
On her cruise.
Oh my God. On your cruise and you had quarantine rules, which is why
I
they said
swear
don't
to
bring the
God.
crackers because you were going into another country and they said, no, yo, you can't just bring fucking food.
Put your
over the
fucking
border."
Ritz bits away.
Oh my God, I'm gonna send you pictures. I swear to God.
I feel like I just did a full ab workout on Megan's
It
cruise.
was a party boat that dropped you off.
I'm not doing the
I like that
beginning.
she had no idea what she was walking into.
not talking-
She's like, no. I mean, we're both like, there's food on cruises. Like cruises are just known for
They
eating.
are. I've
She's like,
been,
"But
I've been on a couple
Like,
of
we didn't-
cruises.
oh, this was
You're right.
like-
It was a boat. Like we didn't get a cabin. You had to
this
pay
was a
extra.
diesel tugboat taking you across the ocean, an hour and a half off the coast.
I'm
Okay,
not talking in the beginning anymore. No more stories.
Megan. What's great about this is I just never know where the night's gonna go.
Seriously, is it going to be farts in a jar or 2-hour cruises? No one knows.
Yeah, and for anyone who is joining us relatively new, Megan did stay at a hotel that BTS almost stayed at once. And that was like another 20-minute story. Oh my God. Okay.
Let's cruise on into this episode, huh?
Well,
Okay.
I'm full of happiness right now. How is everyone else
Let's on
feeling?
into the episode.
I needed that tonight.
Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
Happiness.
Glad I can help out.
Can you share some more happiness with us now?
Happiness is a 2021 drama about a virus outbreak that takes place in the near future and directly references living in the aftermath of COVID. It stars Park Hyun-sik in his comeback drama after his military discharge as a very heroic police detective, and Han Hyo-ju as an alpha heroine who is ready at all times to help people and also kick ass. Like the zombie movie hit Train to Busan, Happiness takes place on a mostly closed set. But instead of a train, this is an apartment building, one where everyone has their own motivations and clearly didn't learn much from the COVID-19 pandemic. The humans are terrible, the virus is unique and shifty, and our leads, well, they are pure cinnamon rolls who you'll want to protect. The writer, Han Sung-woon, has 4 other drama credits to his name, as well as a few movies, and had previously teamed up with Happiness director on 2019's Watcher. I couldn't find any interviews with the writer, but I did find some comments about Happiness from the director on Gil-ho. He said he had a desire to portray the life of ordinary people, and that was the reason for the film Happiness. Quote, when I read the script, the scenario was really interesting and had the power to draw a viewer's attention. But the biggest reason for me to choose this drama was my plan to make a series that focuses on the stories and feelings of common individuals. The drama aims to show a journey to finding the true meaning of happiness when people are locked in an isolated area in a desperate situation. We chose this area to be an apartment building, which also shows one of the characteristics of Korean culture. Okay, so now we are going to get into the spoiler-free section and talk a little bit about the drama in general terms. So if you haven't seen Happiness, you can hang around and listen to us chat a little bit. I do recommend kind of trying to go into this drama as like blind as you can. It's, you know, I can say that we all liked it and it was a lot of fun, but I do think you should experience the surprises and twists for yourselves. So first question, what do you think about the title of the drama in relation to the director's comments?
I like that you brought those comments up. It makes me like the title even more. Like, it seems like a contradiction, a drama with a very scary viral outbreak right after we finally gotten COVID under control. But really, it's quite fitting. At the beginning of the drama, all Sebum, our heroine, wants is her own apartment. That's what will make her happy. But you know what they say, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, and if she would have stayed in the apartment she wanted so much, this drama would have been over in one episode, but we'll probably get to that. I really do like the title because one thing about this drama that I'm sure we'll mention a few times is that the focus is always on the characters. I mean, there is obviously like a massive virus outbreak and external plot going on, but it really is about the characters and their motivations and their goals. And their title reflects that. Like, how can these characters find happiness despite everything that's going on?
Yeah, I feel like the show really does center on the idea of what makes people happy. And some of those drivers are good. A mother's love for a child, a long-held secret love for a friend, love for a sibling, love for a family member, even if someone's deeply flawed, or even love for oneself and finding the courage to escape a toxic relationship. But then there's the happiness that people can derive from things that are not so good, like power, privilege, money, control. So I think that while overall happiness is a really smart drama, it does fall back on some of these like pretty simple binary views, but ultimately I think that's what helps make it commercially successful and hold. Is it's a fresh take on kind of a familiar premise.
That's a good point. The themes make it relatable.
Mm-hmm. And we kind of know the tropes of people who end up loving power or money and learn their lessons or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it worked in a fresh way.
Yeah. So is it too soon for creative work to reference COVID? Just right? What do you think?
I mean, as much as I do have pandemic fatigue, I appreciated this drama was pandemic adjacent. It was something new. So it wasn't like I was watching people dealing with COVID, which we're all still doing right now. Instead, the writer gave us the opportunity to both distance ourselves from the pandemic, yet also dive into a new fictional and hopefully scarier pandemic. This gives us a chance to watch the drama, make commentary on how both the government and everyday people deal with a major health crisis, while not having to feel like we are reliving the Groundhog Day that we've been in for almost 2 years. So I think it gave us just the right amount of distance to immerse ourselves in the story, enjoy the story, but also be able to apply it to what we're all still currently dealing with in the real world. If it was about COVID, I think that would have been too much. But I like that we could reference COVID, but then not be in the world of COVID.
Yeah. And I personally put this one off for a bit. I knew we were going to watch it for the podcast, but I left it until the last minute. Like, I finished it last night, and mostly because I wasn't feeling ready for it. I mean, for right now, in like my lived reality, our school district has just shared that they're not going to be doing any more COVID exposure notices because, frankly, what's the point? Last week, I kept my kids at home because at the moment I'm working remotely and had the privilege to keep them here. And in reality, it was an utter shit show. And so I'm trying to be positive, but like my son would want to sneak onto Minecraft rather than do history homework. But then like on the flip side, like he went for a 23-mile mountain bike ride one day. And then like my youngest sat one day and just played with Scotch tape on her fingers for like 2 hours. But, you know, she also listened to the entire Fudge series by Judy Blume. And then my middle child, you know, worked on a hydroponic science experiment and is studying like future tenses in Korean. And so I'm just saying that like COVID is a lot. It feels just like a disaster, but I am trying to like find the good and like where these disasters are happening. But all that being said, of like, even if we're coping okay sometimes and like these moments that just feel like utter shit, I ended up really enjoying happiness. And I think that it made really compelling analogies to what we're dealing with, but that future lens allowed for some distance. And I kept thinking that, I guess like I was just trying to put a positive spin on like me being home with the kids, but being like, well, I guess it's not all horrible. They are doing some good things. As I was watching the drama, I kept thinking, well, at least we aren't that screwed, right? Like COVID sucks, but you know, we're not gnawing our neighbors' necks for blood with a desperate thirst. I read a lot of Black Plague nonfiction at the start of the pandemic, probably for the same reason. And I think it was mostly to be like, I'm sitting in my house eating my like ninth loaf of sourdough homemade bread in 2 days. But, at least we don't have a cart going up the street going bring out your dead every day for like 10 years or more, like a generation.
Oh my God. So let's set the scene. You're told you must quarantine in your apartment building for about a week because of a highly infectious disease. What food do you buy to keep in your bunker?
So
Go for it, Amy. Let's hear it. Let's hear what survival Amy's ready.
this is
to
a
do.
week. This is for a week.
Yeah, go for it, Amy.
You can tease me all the fuck
You've just
you
been
want.
told by the government. You've been told by the government you need to quarantine in your home. Let's hear what you're
for
gonna
a week. For a week. So first of all, my 12-year-old son was sitting next to me while I was filling out our script. So I asked him the question, I'm like, what would you have for a week? And I said to him, it should be like non-perishable stuff, which didn't quite click for him. So he's like, well, popcorn, of course. I'm like, well, Skinny Pop to be specific, right? Because that's his favorite. Then he's like grapes, blueberries, like just listing his favorite for chicken nuggets and strawberry ice cream and Twix. So I don't know. I don't think, and this, what's cracking me up is like, I'm filling this out sitting next to me and we're watching The Walking Dead while this is all happening. So this is what he comes up with. So for me, again, I was thinking of a week.
Yeah, Amy read the assignment and
I did it.
The assignment.
I'm sure Leah went like full prepper. I didn't see her answers. I'm sure Leah went full prepper, and you can be proud of yourself, Leah. That is fine. So a week. I want my coffee. I want water. I want Twizzlers. I want my packets of lemon pepper tuna because those are not perishable, and I eat those every day for lunch at school. Some rice, some oatmeal, and the big Target teddy bear full of animal crackers because I eat like a toddler. And because we've got some really good crunchy gala apples right now going on, I'm going to add those to the list. And yeah, you're correct. Neither I nor my son mentioned anything vegetable related. I maintain what I said about eating like a toddler. And most of what I have there is non-perishable. So I see no problem with any of it.
I do love animal crackers. Animal crackers are great. Well, for my answer, one thing we learned that it won't be a week. So
thank you, Megan. Thank you for having some wherewithal.
I'm looking to prepare, and it's going to be like 3 years like COVID. So
they're going to stay a week, Amy. They're going to say a week, but understand the assignment is it's never a week.
Well, as far as understanding the assignment, I'm looking at your answer right now, and you read Connor's answer as mine, which it wasn't.
Oh, okay. Well, let me answer first, then you two can hash it out. So, I would get ramen. That's all you need is water, or you can just eat it dry. Some soup in cans because that's gonna last a long time. And I'm also the person in the house that is gonna eat. I eat expired stuff. Kind of like a joke though. My husband's always like, I don't know. This is really close to the date, and I'm just like, oh, it's fine. It could be like 10 days past the date of like something. I'm like, or a couple months, I'll still eat it. But anyway, I would get Spam, and I would get Cliff Bars. Like Cliff Bars, we like live on Cliff Bars in this house, and then just a lot of water. That's not all I get. I was just listing a couple things because Leah went full prepper.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't ever want to be in Amy's bunker because even if I didn't pick Skinny Pop, which I'd want more caloric value than Skinny Pop, I
do love Skinny Pop.
Again, that was my son's choice. So I had some, I think I had some better choices.
Amy is so offended right now.
She went by the assignment. She's mad that we changed.
I went by the assignment, and Leah's judging me based on my 12-year-old's answer.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm just saying that Megan was on the right track planning for the long haul stay. But I also made a list that I actually thought might be helpful for anyone who does want to establish a small bunker. And real talk, I personally think everyone should have a small bunker, especially Amy, because we like you and we want you to be with us after the apocalypse. Amy's face right now is so fucking pissed and judgy. I just
flipped you off. You didn't even see it. I blew you a kiss with my middle finger.
Oh, okay. So one is a glass jar of honey, simply because honey doesn't go bad.
I didn't know that.
You've opened up Egyptian tombs and there's still honey.
I don't like honey.
And in a pitch, we're talking about this is your survival.
I don't care. I want to eat what I like. I want my fucking Twizzlers.
I could drink honey. I love honey a lot.
Also, honey is good for wound care. So if you have an open wound, you can put honey on it and it will prevent some bacteria infections. Hard alcohol, also good for the bunker. It's good for bartering, but also good for wound care. And let's face it, you're going to need to have a couple stiff drinks.
Good for bartering?
Dude,
Oregon
Yes, they never
Trail.
got into bartering and happiness, but real talk, there would have been bartering
You're right.
happening. I would say canned, freeze-dried, and dehydrated meats are always good to have on hand. Canned, dehydrated, and freeze-dried veggies and fruit are good to have at hand. Something to put in your rice, Amy. Potato flakes, also good. Easy to store, last a long time. Cornmeal, you can do like a polenta. Salt and sugar, also good for bartering and to have. Powdered milk, oats, instant coffee and herbal tea. Vanilla extract lasts and never goes bad, and you can like flavor stuff with that. Dried beans, dried pasta, electrolytes, life straws and water purifiers. And I repeated myself a few times because I was ad hocing it. But that's what I would say would be like a reasonable, like I fully have resources on hand in my house because we live in a place with like a lot of impact. And I thought after the fires that happened, actually, where I was like having to grab boxes with food, I was really happy I had like go boxes that were organized. But like, I'm just saying that if anything that we've been seeing the last couple of years is disasters can happen really quickly and without warning. And we don't want to be the people who are running around trying to like break into people's homes to get their food because we are like unorganized. So that's my take home message for everyone listening to.
My best friend's husband is in the military and they have a go bag for their whole family. So it's like, it's them and their two kids. They have a go bag always packed. He's like ready to go in the event of something.
I didn't know that both honey and vanilla extract just last forever.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I think honey will even in plastic, but I would keep it in jars. And then, yeah, the vanilla extract is like a fun, food addition. It might even taste better over time.
Yeah. Good to know.
The more you know, you didn't think you were going to listen to this podcast and get some life skills.
Look at that. Leah the prepper came through. So Park Hyung-sik is a former idol with ZEA, which actually just announced an upcoming comeback, or at least they teased one. I don't know. So what is your experience with idols in dramas?
So honestly, because I know way less about idols than you two do, I rarely know that an actor is an idol while I'm watching them, or an actor was an idol. Like I think Bae Suzy was the only one I knew going in. The first drama that I watched her in was Uncontrollably Fond, and I knew that she was one. But it's usually after the fact that I realized someone was an idol. Like Crystal Young, who I just learned on a quick Google search was an idol, and I had no clue when I saw her in Airs. And her character, Lee Bo-na, was one of my favorite characters in the drama. And Park Hyung-sik was in Airs too. Loved him as Jo Myung-soo.
Had no idea he was an idol. I used to get surprised to find this out.
Because when I find out that actors are idols and then I go look them up and like listen to them sing and they're fantastic singing and they're fantastic acting, I'm like, how can so many people be so good at both music and acting? But now I feel like it's maybe just the trajectory of idols. Like a lot of them seem to transition into acting. And I think also for a while, when I first started watching dramas, I was looking at this transition or this sort of duality through my Western lens, where we seem to find it shocking when established singers show up on screen. Like Lady Gaga right now is sort of making this transition, but she's also, continuing her music career. And still, when I see a trailer for House of Gucci, my brain goes, oh, that's Lady Gaga, the singer, every time I see her on screen, even though the film has nothing to do with singing. It doesn't mean she isn't a good actor. I just feel like it's less common here for people to be as big in the music scene and then, as big on screen as a lot of South Korean idols are. And maybe that's just my, sort of personal bias. But now I'm just kind of used to it. Like I just kind of expect when I find out somebody was an idol, like, oh yeah, that seems about right. And it's not as shocking to me anymore.
Yeah. So I was actually surprised to learn that there is like a slight stigma against idols as actors in Korea. So in my experience with idols, most really are performers first and recording artists second. They have a definite presence on screen and on stage, and many of them do quite extensive acting in their music videos. And many groups like ATEEZ, NCT, aespa, just to name a few, have like a lore and story behind their like group and act. So they've learned how to play roles, and it seems only natural then that they would progress into acting. So it feels like kind of a treat then to go back and watch their old performances and appearances on reality shows. But Amy, you do bring up a good point, especially now, because a lot of these idols that are acting, they were more popular, like early 2000s when I wasn't like into K-pop. So I often don't learn that these actors are idols until after I've seen them in a drama. So the Lady Gaga analogy is really good. It's hard for me when I've seen them as musical acts first and then actors rather than the other way around, especially though if they're like personalities like Lady Gaga. I mean, she's just very, Lady Gaga rather than just like a person who sings.
Yeah. And I guess right now I'm thinking that I'm just agreeing with both of you, because I feel like if I ever do end up seeing Snowdrop, I'm going to go into it seeing Jisoo first, like Blackpink Jisoo right away, rather than the character, which could evolve over time, but just throwing it out there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to see that drama, but I watched Siwon without ever seeing him first in Zia. Is it Zia? Yeah. Zia? Zia?
I don't know if it's Zia or Zea.
So without ever seeing him first in Zia or Zea, because I honestly have no clue which one it is. But yeah, mostly now I feel like I'll see someone in a drama and then go back and check them out. And if they're an idol and I'm extra curious and needing to go down the rabbit hole, I'll find myself, at 1 a.m, like I was last night, watching, old videos of Zia/Zea, music videos.
So now is the favorite part of our show where we get to talk about our K-pop rec of the week. So Megan, what do you have for us?
Okay, so obviously this name has been a stumper for us. So we actually looked up an audio recording to say, because, the internet exists and is a thing, and it is not Zea and it is not Zia. It is Zaya, I would say. It's like a Zaya. And we have an audio file if anyone wants to hear it.
Here we go.
Zaya.
So that is the name of the idol group Park Hyung-sik was in.
And Siwon.
Zaya. I like it.
Zaya. Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
Look at this. Bunkers and better pronunciation. The more you know.
The more you know. Honey lasts forever. And now we can talk about the group so that Megan can do our K-pop rec of the week.
I'm going to recommend Aftermath by Zaya. So I hope I'm still saying it, or I hope I'm saying it okay. I'm trying. But yeah, Park Hyung-sik was in Zaya, as well as Im Siwon, who is a favorite here on the podcast as well. And I think Aftermath has recently had a little bit of a resurgence, but I just love them. I watched the videos today of the song. It's a great song. A lot of them have gone on to do their own independent things, like Park Hyung-sik. So yeah, check it out. It is Aftermath by Zaya.
I definitely want to listen. I'm excited.
I love seeing baby Siwon too. I just have such a soft spot for that guy.
Oh, he's so cute. And it was funny because I saw an interview. So there's the one guy who was on Zaya. He hosts like an idol reality. He helps host an idol reality show now. And I saw an interview with him where he was talking about how like Aftermath has kind of had this resurgence. And he was like, no one cared about us back then. Like when we wanted all that attention, like no, like I don't think they were necessarily like the most successful group. They did okay. But he was like all irritated. He's like, why didn't they pay attention to us back then?
Well, everybody has their moments. If you enjoy our podcast, you have our patrons to thank, at least in part. Afternoona Delight Patreon allows us to keep creating content for y'all to enjoy. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting us there. And not to brag, but our Patreon community is pretty awesome, and you can join at a tier that feels good to you. Gain access to fun perks like K-drama posts, monthly Patreon-only bonus podcasts, and even a live K-drama support group on Zoom. Because we know firsthand what it's like to have no one to talk to about those crazy plot twists, amazing characters, and all those feelings. And look, no one should have to walk that walk alone. So learn more by visiting afternoonadelight.com. That's www.afternoonadelight.com. And hey, while you're on the website, you can check out Afternoona Delight podcast merch, find links to book recommendations, bop along to our K-pop recs, glow up your skin with K-merch recs, find all of our social media, and a link to our email so you can send us recommendations or feedback. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you pop over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review? It really helps with our discoverability. Kamsahamnida. Now we are moving into the spoiler section of the podcast. So if you don't feel like happiness is for you, but you want to stick around and hear more about the drama, here we are. Hang out. Otherwise, we're assuming you've seen Happiness and, want to be thinking more about the story and what happened, and let's do it. So first, let's talk about that opening scene. Jung Hee-hun, played by Park Hyun-sik, is sitting on the roof of his school with a cast on his leg. An injury has destroyed his budding baseball career, and he is very much in his feels. Police cars and ambulances are below, and first responders are begging him not to jump. Yoon Se-bom, played to perfection by Han Hyo-ju, is sitting in her class, unable to leave because school can't be dismissed until Yi-hyun is coaxed down from the roof. Finally, fed up, she marches to the roof, blows past the police negotiator, and sits down next to brooding Yi-hyun. She tells him basically to shit or get off the pot, jump or get off the roof, do one or the other. She doesn't care, just do it so she can go home. She puts his problems into perspective by hinting at her own challenge-riddled backstory that involves hospital stays. Yi-hyun admits he never planned to jump. He was just bored. But when he stands up, she pushes him off the roof. In slow motion, he falls to the air-filled cushion below, but while doing so, gazes up at her adoringly because Yi-hyun just fell in love. So what do you think about this opening scene and how it introduces the characters?
I fucking loved it. Like, loved it. Se-bom will call anyone on their bullshit. And while it sucked that his baseball career ended, he still had his whole life ahead of him. And she made him see that with one effortless push from a rooftop. The look of, wait for it, happiness on his face as she sets him free from his expectations for himself and his life is fucking priceless. I want an exclusive NFT of his face in this moment. And if you want to talk NFTs, hop on back to our Mad for Each Other pod to hear Megan discuss non-fungible tokens of fart jars.
You still won't get it.
I love that scene. I loved his expression. I loved it all. So I watched Happiness first. And I remember after that scene, I messaged you guys and I was like, okay, that was legitimately one of the best opening scenes. Like not like first episode, opening scene I've seen yet in a drama. And it reminded me a lot of I Am Not a Robot in that it did a great job of introducing the characters. So while we don't know the external plot yet in that first happiness scene, we don't really know anything about the virus. We do see right away that this drama will have strong character motivations and interpersonal relationships. So I feel like the drama gave a clue to the viewers, like, this is what I'm going to make you care about. I mean, it worked. I was already rooting for Se-bom and Yi-hyun to succeed after that first scene. And yeah, putting the characters front and center rather than the forthcoming virus is showing where the drama's priorities are.
When we did the My Name podcast, Megan, we talked a little bit about how most stories tend to either be very plot driven or very character driven, obviously with aspects of both. And then there's sometimes like these special stories that are a bit more evenly right down the middle. And while I do think this one probably airs still a little bit more on the plot driven side, I think that it comes with such a heavy dose of character, especially for the two leads, that I think it was a drama that could make both of us happy. Yeah. Because it was hitting both of our buttons, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think, look, the first scene, he literally falls in love.
He falls in love as he falls.
So, like, chef's kiss to that. And his face, like, I bought it.
Yeah.
Like, it was not just like the script was smart to do it. His performance sold it because I felt like his face, I believed he fell in love as he fell.
Yeah. The way he looked at her was so great. And it was like slow motion. Oh, so good.
I had shivers.
It was so good. So good.
I fell in love.
Agreed. I was like, I'll take him. So Happiness takes zombie lore and gives it a new twist. How? Well, the infected aren't actually dead. It's more of a rabies-like infection in which the infected have episodes where they turn zombie-like and thirst for blood. They can also hide being infected unless they see human blood. But even then, some are strong enough to prevent an episode. So what did you like about this disease infection premise? And how do you think it made for a more compelling drama?
This was so cool. Like, I love this idea because it added a big morality factor to the idea of zombieism. Happiness isn't the first to do this. Like, I'm currently watching The Walking Dead with my son, and it happens in The Walking Dead too, where most people see the walkers as monsters while some still see them as people. And it makes them harder morality-wise to kill when you see a walker as a person. But in The Walking Dead, they are dead. Like you have to die to become a zombie. Whereas in Happiness, we now have killer zombies who don't stay killer zombies. Sure, they'll rip your throat out and drink your blood, but when the episode is over, they become lucid again and are remorseful. And this turns the morality factor way up because these aren't monsters. These are sick people. And do they deserve to die, even if they kill someone? If they are being controlled by the virus rather than acting of their own free will. It's just like it raises some really good questions because it's so different when you're talking about people who are sick and not dead.
Yeah, I love this virus lore so much that I'm surprised it kind of hasn't been done or like more frequently. I mean, I haven't really seen it before. It made for a much more fascinating storyline because you didn't always know who was hiding an infection. And sometimes you, as in the audience, could tell who was infected, and other times you could not. And it's funny because I wanted to yell often, like, oh my gosh, if you've been bitten or you've been scratched, like tell people. But I also sort of got it. Many of them were really scared. They were kind of in denial. And we've learned from COVID that not everyone is really truthful about their exposures. I also found it interesting that there were some who could control their thirst longer than others if they were like kind of quote strong enough, was how the drama was selling it, which I think was a plot device just to show us how freaking heroic Yi Hyun could be. But I loved it anyway, because isn't that like a great universal fantasy that a man loves you so much that he can hold back his thirst for human blood to protect you? I mean, pretty badass.
I love that so much.
Yeah, he can be in an episode and pull himself out of it.
Voice.
Yeah, not eat you.
Ugh,
So good.
That's hot.
so good.
So which character did you identify with the most? Or basically, who would you have been in the Forest Lucille building?
Oh, this is a tough one because I want to be no bullshit say bum. And for some of it, I think I would be. Like, I have zero tolerance for bullshit. And in a crisis, that tolerance dips even lower. Also, the way she protects Se-yoon, the young girl from apartment 502. If my kids are with me, I think I could go much more badass for their sake. But truly, I want to be the one fucking person who just does what they're supposed to do and stays in their damn department. But we would have no drama otherwise. But at least Ji Jung-sil, our Ajuma, who becomes infected, stays the hell inside once she realizes this. But it's a little too late at this point. And I realized we'd have no drama, like I said, if people just did what they were supposed to do. And I also realized that this is where my frustration with our current pandemic bleeds into my frustration with the cast of our drama. But it's a frustration that worked for me. Like, exasperation with what's happening is key to what makes this drama so compelling. No one does what they're supposed to do, so anything can happen.
I love that point. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that is really a good point. And again, everyone is like thinking for themselves. Like, everyone in this drama had like their own motivations. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember everyone's name, but the woman who was having an affair with the doctor and then an affair with the lawyer, like, she was just thinking of herself. She's like, I got to get the key, or I got to get the code to steal money. And the lawyer just wanted to, I don't know, have an affair and then get cases to make more money. I mean, it was like everyone had like their own little goals, and that would, obviously conflict with other people. And to me, that is, even as frustrating as it was, that's why the drama worked so well to me, because it was so character driven.
And I mean, the task that they had was a simple, a relatively simple task, which is stay where you are. Don't spread the virus. Just stay where you are, or like, just don't leave the building.
Mm-hmm.
And because everyone had these little like nuances of what they thought was important, they were like, well, if I just do this one thing, it's going to be fine. Right. But when every single person in the entire building does their little thing, even our heroic leads,
Right.
we get freaking zombies in the building.
It's so true. It's like everyone, well, it's kind of like the same thing. Everyone just thinks they're like an exception to the rule. Like, I always, but I'm just going to do this little thing. It's not going to affect anyone. It's like, well, yeah, everything has a ripple effect. And now like you fucked up the whole apartment building.
And even the leads who think that what they're doing is to protect everybody else, which that's their motivation, it still causes a mess.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, Sebom and Yi-hyun, like, they definitely made decisions that they thought were for the good of people, and it ended up backfiring.
Yeah, if they just sat with their big food supply, like quarter way through the drama, and just been like whatevs to everyone else, they would have probably,
just lie there in your separate beds.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So I think I would have been the writer, Hyun Kyung, played by Park Hee-ban. She just looked bewildered, confused, and sad the entire time, but she tried her best to be kind and share her resources. So I really thought that they were setting her up to be kind of like a weak character who, like, kicks the bucket or gets bitten. But in the end, her kindness was rewarded. She survives, and she always sees the others as people, especially when her brother is infected. And like, I adore her and her brother at the end of the drama.
Oh my gosh, they were the best.
Like,
seriously.
Them at the end of the drama, it's like, so like the last two episodes of this drama, let me just say right now, are like bananas. Like, so much stuff is happening. It's just a lot. Like, the plot is just like rushing at you, but she's just like wandering around the apartment building with her brother who's been infected. but he hasn't like had an episode in a while. Like it turns out he has the antibody, but she makes him just wear these gloves and like the catcher's mitt.
The catcher's mask is the like that is the best. I laugh so much.
They're both just like trying to help people out, and he's like, he was just so cute by the end. I love them. But anyway, even when she realizes that Yi-hyun is infected and she even like tries to help him out, she like gets him in his apartment, she covers him with a blanket. And I don't know, I thought she was just really sweet and she was trying her best. I mean, she wasn't like a genius and she made some mistakes, which would like totally be me. But, she was like a romance web novelist and had a super cute apartment. So I liked her a lot.
I'd be the guy in apartment 15.
Yeah,
obviously.
you would.
Yeah, I mean, so not because of the penthouse, but just I feel like
he had everything.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just think that like there have been times where I have gone into rabbit holes for situations and started to prepare to my husband's great annoyance at times. I think we've talked about this on the podcast. Like I have identified local caves and springs that we can go to in case of certain catastrophes. I just like to be prepared. However, I can also feel like it's relatable that I could end up murdered in a utility closet coated in lime because I finally decided to trust like one or two good people and it all backfires.
Oh,
he was cute.
He was
gone too soon. I thought he was adorable. When he showed up in the PPE, I was like, oh my God, I love him. I'd marry him. So Happiness has some jump scares, plot twists, and a whole lot of gym meetings. And what's funny, I just want to say, is that when you two were watching this, because you watched it before me, you kept mentioning gym meetings, and I was picturing like a basketball gymnasium.
Oh,
This is like a workout, like hotel or,
Yes.
apartment complex gym. But it was just funny in my mind. I was thinking a gymnasium for a meeting, and I was kind of like, okay, that makes sense. And then I saw they're all like in this workout space. So what are some scenes that surprised you or made you gasp?
So I think my favorite like WTF moment is when Yi-hyun, they're in the gym. It's a gym meeting. When Yi-hyun slices his hand to fill a cup with blood, and everybody who is still not a zombie or infected with, they call it madman rabies. Everybody's in the gym and they're standing in a big circle and people are like, you could be infected and not be showing it. You could be infected. And so he's like, all right, let's like suss out who's infected. Slices his hand, drips the blood into a cup and just walks around in the circle. And it is our poor, sweet supermarket cashier, Lebo Ram, who is given no sign of being infected, just suddenly turns and snarls as soon as she gets a whiff of the blood. And it is a great plot twist and a jump scare because she was the last person I expected to be infected. I love that. That was a fun scene.
Yeah, I love that scene so much. And that was definitely one that completely took me like off guard. Like I gasped. I think I jumped.
That's when you know that some people can truly hide it.
Correct.
She was one of those other ones. She was trying so hard. And like, it's like they go back and then show like when everybody was grabbing a drink and she didn't grab one because if you drink, you get overly thirsty for water when you're infected. The more you drink, the closer you come to an episode. So she was like abstaining from drinking and like, you don't notice that until after the fact and they go back and show you. And it's like, oh, that's awesome that they put like some, little clues in there that you totally don't pick up on.
Yeah, that is the first time that you realize they can hide it because after that is when they kind of that like pastor guy, they like show him how he's been hiding it too. But yeah, you don't realize it really until the scene with the supermarket girl. So I'm going to kind of skip to the end here, but I will admit when I first started watching the drama, I saw the spoiler on Twitter, of course, because no one there cares. But it was just a screen grab of Yi-hyun like pulling down his shirt to reveal a bite. So like I knew he was going to be infected. I mean, that's all I saw though. So it wasn't like huge, and I don't know. I probably could have deduced that was going to happen. However, the scene that made me gasp and like lose my like total shit is when he's on the rooftop with Andrew, the serial killer, because an apartment full of infected people isn't enough. We needed a serial killer inside too. And Yi-hyun had just sent Sebom and, the girl, they were going to be protected. And yeah, he knew they were okay. And now, well, he was stuck on the rooftop with Andrew, who had a gun, and Andrew was going to shoot him. So, Yi-hyun does this whole little monologue. He's like all bloody and he's like staring at the sky, but he's all happy. And he's saying how like this day is beautiful. And he met Sabom and fell in love with her just on a day, just like this on a rooftop. And, I got it. Like, I'm always going to love like a really good callback, especially in like a romance plot line to like an earlier scene like that, especially when that scene was so good in the first episode. So Andrew, with the gun, asked him to turn around, and Yi-hun kind of like, this camera's just like on his back. Okay. And he kind of like drops his head between his shoulders, and then he looks back, and bam, we get zombie Yi-hun with like
White eyes.
and it is just epic. Like I honestly did not see that coming. I did not see him like turning in that moment. And I just loved it so much, because that's when that he controlled himself for so long when Sabom was around. But as soon as he knew she was safe, like all bets are off. All right. So he takes a chunk out of Andrew and makes the hottest zombie since, Gongyu. So I also have to add that this was episode 11.
It is.
Because it's always episode 11.
The theory sticks.
Yep.
Even when it's a 12 episode drama, like it's
Right?
not the pacing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know.
So I really loved the Andrew chomp too. I want to talk about it a little bit towards the end, but I just want to give a shout out to the character that just creeped me a lot, which was the security guard who just like kept like hanging outside, just like always desperate for a nibble. Just, every time they would like look out those doors, he'd be there like, hey, just what's up? And like,
Yeah,
Like trying to act like he's fine, and he's like all veiny.
he's
covered in blood.
totally
He's covered in
scares me.
blood.
He was a creepy dude.
And he's like, I'm totally cool, guys.
Yeah, but he was like
Me.
that desperate, like, when somebody's just very calm, like, no, I'm totally good. It's fine. Just good. And it was just like,
open
no.
the door.
Oh God, he just like
Just
made
open the door.
me. Yeah, just open the door.
Yeah.
With his teeth chattering. Oh, he just.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was good. He was really good.
Yeah, he was good.
Let's talk about the romance. And did we forget to mention this was a marriage of convenience trope? Because it is. Sabom and Yi-hun get engaged to earn the points needed to get this fancy apartment. Did you like how the romance progressed, and were you satisfied with the happily ever after? Let's also discuss how Yi-hun and Sabom were both alphas, but different kinds of alphas. Who would wear the fanny pack?
Yeah, just call back in case you aren't familiar with some of our previous alpha talk, but basically we kind of defined alphas as the leader and the one, he's not necessarily always just like the alpha whole. Like a good alpha is going to be a leader. He's going to wear a fanny pack with supplies for his squad. He's going to have the cheesy crackers ready to go in case anyone gets low blood sugar. That's
Goes on a cruise to the Bahamas.
yeah, on the cruise.
So I loved their romance. And I think my only complaint about it was that I wanted to see more of it. But I realized that this drama wasn't about the romance. It was about the situation in the apartment complex. So I wasn't like disappointed that we didn't get more romance. Like I was good with what we had, but I just loved them so much. And I love their dynamic. I love their happily ever after, except for the he's dead. No, he's not. Never mind how he got better ending. And I 100% think that Yi-hyun is the alpha who'd have the fanny pack with snacks and first aid for all, while Sabum would be the one who acts first, worries about how everyone's doing after. Both of these are admirable, qualities. They're both admirable alphas and take charge in their own ways. Sabum was just not the one to wear a nurturing heart on her sleeve, even though her nurturing heart is in there under her complete and utter badassery.
Yeah, I agree with this. Sabom would not be wearing the fanny pack. I think she'd help make a list of the supplies, but she'd get distracted. She'd get distracted and would need to leave to go yell at someone while waving a baseball bat. While Yi-hun would carefully pack the supplies, wear the fanny pack, and then go exert some alpha vibes to get everyone to calm down and call off Sabom, who was basically the mad dog of Forrest's CL apartment building. Call back to mad for each other. So I found this romance really sweet. This thing, I loved that with all the chaos going on, I mean, there is a lot going on, that we got a sweet, they didn't I don't think I could have taken this angsty, weird miscommunication, them fighting each other as well as fighting, infected people. So it was just so very easy to root for them. They're smart, capable, caring, and just overall, good people, but they weren't boring good. They have their flaws and they were just so very real. So when Sebom gets to safety and finds the video that Yihan left on her phone and she watches it he's back. She knows he's infected at this point. So she knows he's back at the apartment where chaos is reigning, but she's finally safe because she had to get the little girl to safety. And also she had the antibodies. So she finds this video that Yihan left on her phone and she watches it over and over again. Oh my gosh. I cried. And, I loved her badass take charge attitude. At that point, she was going to go back and she was going to get her man. And by God, she did. And only her voice could call Yihan back from a bloodthirsty episode. And then we finally get a kiss. And did I want more? Yes, but I'm happy that I got a kiss and a happily ever after, even if the fake out drove me crazy. But
So I'm not saying I want more angst. I didn't need angst, but I always love longing. And so I do have a little quibble here that there was some longing. He gave great puppy dog little eyes, but I could have 10 out of 10 had more staring from the twin beds that they had. I wanted more of him just staring at her or her staring at him, pining over breakfast. But, it's a minor quibble. But I will say I did start to judge Sebom for being such a dumbass because I was he is really in love with you.
Yes.
And I mean, look, the payoff, I cried for the phone call when she puts it all together too for herself and realizes she's got big feels. But I mean, we were at the end of the drama, and this whole drama, she's got this big whole man in a twin bed next to her. And I'm it's fine. It's the drama and I go with it. But in real life, I don't think anyone's that dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I did like that. I did like that the realization came independent. Okay. So I'm trying to word what I'm trying to say here. I feel like she fell for him sort of independent of his feelings for her. Meaning, I think she wasn't just oh, there's a guy here who really likes me. So I guess I'll go for it. I really think that the drama showed how well they make a team, how great partners they are, how best friends. And I think she came to just really love him for his capableness of how he cared for her, how he cared for his friends, the apartment complex people, the little girl. So I kind of like that. I like that aspect of it. I think she really.
But they'd also been close for so long. This wasn't their first time together. So, I mean, look, I'm not quibbling. I think the way the story was structured, it makes logical sense.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's just I think I always have just and it's fiction. Look, there's a lot more things in this world to worry about. But when somebody's been besties with a big tasty snack forever, I just I'm always really? Just
do you not see him?
Really
Well, she rejected him in high school. He asked her out and she was no. So
and look, this is a tale as old as time, friends to lovers. This is a premise we've all done, where I'm just oblivious to the super delicious man in my life. But, it always does make me laugh a little bit because I don't know, maybe I'm just not so sweet.
And I love that they put him in tight baseball pants for the first episode. Thank you to wardrobe for deciding that.
Yeah. And thank you for letting him have a bat too. It just gave me some of those Train to Busan callbacks as well.
Yes.
It was hot when they had the baseball bats on the train, and it was hot when he had the baseball bat in the apartment building.
Yep.
Do either of you see Signs?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you remember this? Do you remember the whole storyline with Joaquin Phoenix where it was the same way? Wasn't he an ex-baseball player?
I just remember it was water and it was that's the dumbest thing. And it's aliens come to a planet that is mostly water. And
right,
that is
I know,
one
but
weakness.
but I do remember that Joaquin Phoenix was it was the same thing. He was an ex-baseball player and was injured or something like that. And he hadn't picked up a baseball bat since he got injured or something like that. But the aliens were in their house and there's a glass of water sitting on the table.
I did see this movie.
Oh, did you? And he rips the bat off the wall and just takes a swing at the water and kills the aliens. And it's so freaking cool. It's a really good scene. And it made me think a little bit of that because, Yihan obviously, he was playing recreation baseball. So he was still kind of playing, but he couldn't play pro. So I kind of seeing him again with a bat. But we do need to point out that he always gave Sebom the best weapons. When they went to the grocery store, he had a mop. He gave Sebom the best weapons. He always let her have the best weapons and she knew what she was doing. because she's Sabon and she can do it.
She's like an anti-terrorist.
Yeah,
right?
she's like she was like on a special law enforcement squad, and he's a detective.
So there you go. Within the apartment building, there was a clear class distinction on renters versus owners, as well as among those considered in less desirable jobs like cleaners as opposed to lawyers or doctors. Did you find this realistic and believable, especially in light of our current pandemic situation?
Well, yes, I did. And this is what made the drama for me. So I felt like, look, we had people getting paid to do the shit no one else with money wanted to do, like gather food in the apartment complex grocery store or go take a little walk around for rabies people and get a sense of the situation. And so that really kind of reminded me a lot of essential workers during this pandemic, where we've had a whole bunch of people, including myself, who've been able to often work remotely in homes with everything locked up and relatively safe. And then we have folks ranging from educators like Amy to healthcare workers on the front line to people, keeping gas stations running and food services running, all these quote unquote essential workers who got like applauded for so long. And now we're just like, whatever, just like do our shit. And that's really was the core once it gets down to it is, we just want people to take our money and do the shit. And I don't know, in some ways, that's what this really felt like a metaphor for. And I thought that was pretty powerfully done. Also, I thought there was some well done aspects in the shame of having the virus and particularly how you contracted it. And then I also, you're reacting in real time. And that the result sometimes is really that, to make an omelet, you're going to have to break a few eggs, so to speak. However, then there's this human nature of, but you don't want to break your eggs. So we've got the Colonel here who's really, he was a complex character. He's trying to control the whole situation, moving parts, being like, okay, we're going to have to round up folks who are infected and kind of treat them as other, move them off, possibly kill them. We're going to lock up everyone else, And then we realize, yes, this does make some sense because you kind of do have to save greater society. So I can kind of see where you're going with this. And your infected wife is sitting there and you're going to make sure she gets the only cure dose when it comes available.
Yeah. So one thing the three of us discussed in some earlier conversations is that happiness got right what Silent C got wrong. So let's chat about that.
And if you haven't listened to our episode on the Silent C, we had a lot of issues, but in happiness, there's science. It might not be entirely plausible science, but at least we have government officials trying to explain what's happened, trying to figure out if it's a virus or a drug that causes the madman rabies, as they call it, and then trying to figure out how to fix it. Science with medicine. The one really big thing that I thought was missing from the Silent C, a science fiction drama.
Been fine with a totally bonkers plot in the Silent C if I cared about the characters and if the drama was character driven and focused, but it wasn't. And so I know we kind of shit on the Silent C already for an entire episode, but happiness put into perspective to me why the Silent C, wasn't successful for me. Basically give us characters to care about. I
100% agree. That was definitely another ding on the on my grade of the Silent C. It cared about nobody when the drama ended.
I think you're both right. Yeah. Really. It's science and character. But for me, look, straight up, we got a PowerPoint in happiness. And when the PowerPoint showed up, I was because all I want is someone to logic me out in the crisis with a PowerPoint. And I was F yes, very simple. And I immediately believe you because you have a PowerPoint.
Not go and retrieve this sample.
So we have these people, they're something, I won't tell you what, and you need to go in and figure out what they are. Go.
And stay away from them.
No, not even.
We don't know why they're volatile. We don't know what they'll do to you, but just stay away from them.
It wouldn't even be stay away from them. It would be you need to go find these people. They're a little different than us. We don't really know how different they are, but just bring them back. But if their eyes are white, don't bring them back until their eyes are not white anymore.
Yeah. Got a wound, but it looks like it's not getting worse. Bring them back. We don't know why. We don't know why. And then we have Gone You being okay, sounds good to me. That all checks out.
You want me to find somebody with an unhealing wound to bring them back? Okay.
Got it. I don't question my orders. So any last thoughts that you need to get off your chest?
Okay, so I mentioned it briefly when we were talking about the romance, but this is really my only quibble, and it's a small one, but I'm still not over that he's almost dead. Flash forward to the end and he's fine. Fake out, because I never believed for a second that Yi-hyun was dead or near death anyway. Like it happened really quickly. You know, the scene where Sabom is finally like, you know, she's holding him in arms. He's been shot a bunch of times. She's screaming and crying. And I'm like, he's not freaking dead. Like, and it wasn't even like, you know, I didn't want an amnesia. Like, I'm glad there was no amnesia or anything like that. Like I wasn't looking for that. But there was so little time between that and then like flash forward and like we're swinging arms and walking in the sunshine. And I not even the tiniest bit worried that he was dead, that I was like, why even fake us out that he's dead if you're not going to give us something to truly emote about? I don't know. It's a tiny gripe. I loved this drama. It's off my chest. I'm good.
Yeah. So I watched this drama live. So I didn't have like anyone to reassure me that this was going to end well. Okay. Like when Amy was watching it, I was like, trust me,
right,
it's a good drama. You'll like it. So she had like, she knows me. And she knows that if like this hero tragically died at the end, I wouldn't have been like, yeah, it's great. Watch it. So like I loved the last two episodes, and I was thinking like, you know, because I will say the pacing for some of the earlier had me a little on the fence. There was just like a lot of like walking and stairs and meetings and gyms. And I was like, I don't know if this pacing is working for me. And then the last two episodes came and I was like, oh my God, if this drama ends correctly, then it stuck the landing and pulled it off. And then came this like fake out death scene. And I will tell you, my reaction wasn't sadness, it was anger. Because I was like, if they went through all this shit and this drama actually kills him, like I'm gonna riot. Like I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna give it 0 stars. So, but in the end, like, yeah, it really quickly then went to him like being alive and fine. And I was like, okay. But so I didn't love the fake out either, because it just was like stupid. I didn't think it needed to be done. Like they could have had him be gravely injured and then like paramedics rushing in or something, but you know, whatever. It's same thing. It's a minor quibble because thank God he's alive and happy with his Bama. I loved it when he called her that, when he's like, Bama. I loved it.
So I have to say, this is something that makes me laugh too, because Megan and I have like this like very yin and yang alignment. So I actually really enjoyed the first 3/4 more than the last quarter. I got to the end and I was like, this just feels like now we're like fast driving the plot to me. And I liked more of like the walking around and gym.
See, I love that. I love just utter chaos. Like I love that so much, but I get it. Yeah, we're very different.
Yeah. So it just makes me laugh because I was like totally fine with all the gym meetings. I was like, yep, let's get back to that gym and see what's going on down there. So anyway, but I have to say, I didn't like the fake out. I didn't like the fake out at all. But here's the thing is I was okay with it because I thought she was going to have him bite her to like get the end of like her antidote or something. So I thought we were going to get like some sort of like, I was waiting for her to be like, well, he's always going to be fine, because like she, even if like her cure was waning, I thought she was going to be able to like dribble some blood in his mouth. I don't know. That's what I really thought we were going with, or something like that. Okay. I was kind of pumped for it. And then it didn't happen. Yeah. So I thought, yeah, I agree with everything you said. But here's the biggest thing I thought. Once he was bitten, I was like, oh, well, this is fun, because I was like, Megan said the ending is really amazing. We're going to have like rabid, mad dog, crazy ass Andrew, like just loose as a goose.
That's what I thought too.
I would have loved that.
I thought too.
I thought we were going to have that too. I thought he was going to be like a zombie, like constantly. Totally.
Just jump scare after jump scares. I was like, oh shit, like we're in it now. And then no, like we didn't get that. We got like the tiniest little zombie Andrew moment after that. So I was like, well, what was the whole freaking point of Andrew then? Like I thought Andrew was really going to come down to this like final showdown, like
zombie against
thing.
zombie.
And instead we were in that military.
That would have been
in that military complex with, you know, Boma trying to get out, and that's fine. But I was like, I'm in for zombie Andrew. Like when are we getting to zombie Andrew? And then he just was like hiding in the bunker room at the very end and like shoots, you know, Hyuna, and then whatever, turns into a zombie and dies. I was like,
yeah, that's true. Could have had, definitely the ending could have had some different rewrites. I think
it doesn't, it's a quibble. I had to get it off my chest.
Right. No. I actually totally agree with you. I really do. Cause I thought some different things were going to happen. I actually thought Boma was going to like show up, and I thought Hyun was just going to be like just a crazy zombie all the time. Like that's what I thought. I thought he was going to like not be able to come back until Sabom showed up. Like I thought he was just going to be a constant zombie until Sabom showed up. And like I thought they were gonna have this like showdown where she was gonna like point a gun at him and he was gonna be like, maybe he was gonna bite her, maybe not, and then she like coaxed him back.
Like that too.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like more dramatic, but then I kind of did like the scene where they were in their apartment, because it was like their pictures hanging above them on the couch, and it's like their place, their happiness, their home. And that's when she could like call him back.
And
So
he was in such like agony. Like I was feeling, like he did not want to be living the zombie life.
no, poor guy.
And so I just felt so bad
'Cause he's
alone
so
under his little
good.
blankie, just like being a zombie.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Like
gosh,
shaking under his blanket.
Like it was horrible, but I loved it because like there's so much emotion to him trying to control himself.
Yeah. And I mean, that to me was really like a huge
Yep.
part of the drama, is they just showed that this man willing to do so much to protect the people he loves and the people he loves the most.
His happiness.
And yeah, happiness. As you can see, we did all like this drama. I don't know if you're still listening and you haven't seen it. I'm sorry because we ruined it for you, but
We warned
do
you.
hope,
I mean, if you stayed, we're grateful, but we
I
warned
think
you
you
ahead
could
of
still
time.
enjoy it. I think you could still go back and enjoy it. But I really pleasantly surprised at how I thought this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was a little nervous that you weren't. I thought you would like it because I thought the characterizations were really good, and I really thought you'd like Hyung Sik.
Yeah, Boma. I thought all the characters were, even when they were a bit one note, like the doctor or whatever, they were still interesting to watch.
Yeah, completely agree.
I just could have taken a lot more Andrew.
Yeah, honestly, when he took his mask off, I remember I was really confused. That's when I was like, "Where's this drama going?" Because I'm like, "Am I supposed to know who he is?" Because he took the mask off. It was like the very end of an episode, and everyone's like,
like bang bang Maxwell Silverhammer. Because that was the other thing too. We get like this whole expository backstory of him just running around with his hammer, like hammering people's head around Seoul.
He totally is just hammering people.
But like it never really like tied into like, okay, well,
but
now
like but like why for so long was he just keeping himself under wraps when he could have just been hammering everybody?
He could have been hammering everyone the whole time. And he
Like
was actually rather helpful.
trapped with him, just ripe for hammering.
He was helpful. Like he was slicing his arm to get blood. Like I was like, Andrew's really coming to the table with some service.
I honestly was hoping Andrew was going to end up being like a hero.
But like how he shifted from being kind of maybe slightly good or on like the good team to just being like, I just want to fucking kill Boma with my silver hammer beyond anything. Like all I want to do is kill Boma. And I was like, there's not really like any, like, I know he's a serial killer, but like he was very fixated on wanting to like fuck up Boma.
Of course he was.
But I don't feel like it was grounded. Like I needed it to be grounded in some sort of a moment, like seeing happiness and then being like, no happiness for you. I'm going to like, I feel like that's
like,
where
no, it's just like, I want to hammer you.
Get and only you really out of everyone.
And not hammer you in the good way.
Yeah. Yi-hun wanted to.
Andrew wanted to use an actual hammer.
And I was there. I kept waiting. One of these beds coming to bed together, but
Seriously, push them to get rid of those freaking nightstands and push the goddamn beds.
They're not even matching beds. That's a tiny gripe too. Totally two totally different, like random twin beds.
All right. Well, I do have a book recommendation.
Yay.
And it's a nonfiction, but I think it really fits the theme of this drama. And it's called Get Well Soon, Heroes' Worst Plagues and the Heroes Who Fought Them. And it's by Jennifer Wright. And I would say I listened to the audiobook and it is fantastic. It is the most hilarious, witty story of plagues, leprosy, and polio that anyone's ever going to find. But really, it just is like very accessible. It covers like these like famous plagues in history. It was written before COVID, which is actually very interesting because she ends it kind of talking about what will be like the next plague.
Oh, wow.
But for example, just one short story that she has is from a town in Germany where a woman began dancing and didn't stop. And she danced until she basically like her feet wore off and like she was done. And more people in the village began this dance. They weren't dancing for happiness. It was just this grim dancing. And it was the dancing plague. And dancing plague like spread through this area in Germany. Like over 500 people or something were like stricken with this plague and they've never been totally sure what caused it. They've got theories, and she has a fairly compelling theory of what she thinks happened. But, and so it's just for these times, it's dark humor, gallows humor, but also kind of like a fascinating, especially if you like history, Megan. I think it's an enjoyable book about dark subject matter.
Yeah, I'm getting the audiobook right now, actually.
Yeah. So you will find yourself
because
laughing
sounds so good
and learning and being like, well, COVID sucks, but at least I'm not in the Justinian plague, which is how I was.
Wait, I already bought it.
I know. I think I have it too.
Okay, well, just a shout out, because I was like, when I was bringing it up, I'm like, I know I've talked about this before, because I feel like this is a book I recommend. I've listened to it twice.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I have to, now it's like, I got to remember.
Yeah, I've already got it in my, it's like, it's in your library. So
Yeah, and she's a very like witty, funny narrate. Like the author narrates.
Oh,
it.
this sounds fun. This sounds fun.
And what's, to wrap
in a weird way.
Yeah, in a weird way, it's
Yeah.
fun. And just like happiness in a weird way was fun.
Yes.
So what's everyone watching?
I feel like I've been watching Reply 1988 for at least 1900 years.
Since
I love,
1988.
don't get me wrong, since 1988. Right. Since I was in junior high. I love this drama, don't get me wrong, but it is a long haul for sure, especially when I have to find little pockets of time to watch it. When I've got my kids here, it's going well. I'm on episode 12. I love it. I do. Like Park Bo-gum's smile lights up my life. And that's really all I need. But I have a lot of hours to go, but I'll finish it by the time we do our podcast on it, because we've got a little bit of time before that.
About you, Megan?
So I'm started While You Were Sleeping, which is a drama that I've seen recommended so many times. And I finally just decided to take the dive because I was looking for, a romance that could hold my interest. And I am loving it. Like, I have to say, the first episode was very good. Like one of the best first episodes of a drama that I've seen. It just did a really good job setting up the characters, and especially like the plot, which is just very cool. Basically, Bae Suzy stars in it, and she dreams what happens in the future. And then the male lead also starts dreaming of what happens in the future. And basically, they then try to stop the bad things from happening. But once you stop bad things from happening, then like other things are affected, and it's getting complicated and cool. But like Bae Suzy's really awesome. I love the male lead, and yeah, it's really holding my attention, and I like it a lot.
So I just finished Happiness last night. I took this one down to the wire, and I'm actually glad I did, because it was fun to talk about it, like having jumped right off of finishing it.
Right.
I had barged Fated to Love You right before that, which I also enjoyed. So right now I don't have a drama. So I guess I'm going to be deciding tonight, or, sometimes I take a little breather between dramas. I'm also on a book deadline. And so I might do like a variety show for a couple of days. I don't know. I'll see where the mood takes me after I write 3,000 words tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I will say too, I just watched the BL drama Tinted with You, which was very short. It's only 8 episodes and they're like 15 minutes long. I will say, if you want kind of just like a little bit of a palate cleanser, that was really cute. And if anyone else needs that was on Viki. Tinted with You, because there's like a painting art type theme in it. And yeah, it was really cute. So just if anyone needs it's a little time travel. And I'm amazed at what they were able to do in these like short little episodes.
Okay, well, I want to give a shout out to the Army members in Afternoona who are like keeping me completely immersed with like an entire TikTok's catalog of BTS videos as well. So I probably have enough content to get me through like a COVID winter at this point as well.
Good.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Megan, have fun at the AT's concert.
Yes.
We cannot wait to hear about that. And listeners, we wish all of you tons of happiness.
Annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!